I looked up from my seat on his lap to his aging, wrinkled face. My tiny hands touched the scratchy whiskers and the familiar prickly feeling. I saw the tears begin to well in his eyes. How could a man so grand and so happy have so many tears? In that moment, I wanted to take away his sadness. So I wrapped my arms around my giant grandfather, and all I could say is, I love you, and I love the fish too.
I love
I
my
grew up on fishing
old
stories,
tomato,
sitting on Grandpa's
my
giant lap
old
with my
tomato, 'cause
siblings, the
nobody
noise of the
else
family
can love
around.
me like my
There was always
old
laughter
tomato
and always
can.
songs,
Her corned beef and
the
her
smell of wood
cabbage
smoke,
are way above
ice
the
cubes
average.
clinking together in the tang of
Proud
whiskey.
to
He
call
used to
her
let me
my
sneak his
own.
whiskey soaked ice
If
cubes.
I come home of an evening
When I was with him, I
and
felt
I'm a
safe.
little late,
I
hey,
felt loved.
I know she'll
I
meet
felt
me
special.
with a flying
And
plate.
that was
I
the
love
magic of
my
him. He
old
made
tomato,
everyone around him feel
my
this way.
old tomato, 'cause nobody
My
else
grandfather
can
was a
love me
giant
like
of a
my
man in
old
more ways
tomato
than just his
can.
6'6" presence. We called him Dr. Bill. Dr. Bill was a dedicated fly fisherman and pioneered steelhead fishing with a fly on the Still River. He was a founding member of the Washington Steelhead Fly Fishers, along with other legends, Wes Drain, and Sid Glasso, and Tate Mason, all big names in the fly fishing world. He had been fishing the Still River since the 1930s. After the war, when they began exploring these rivers with a fly, he and his friends, bright colored pattern flies, each one holds a story. My mom can still remember him calling out on his way out the door, I'm going fishing on the Stilly, no matter what the season. Man, did he love the Stilly.
You want to feel that you're alone, communing, one with nature. You're out. You don't necessarily have to be successfully catching fish, but you at least are reading the stream. You're watching the birds. You're enjoying the foliage on the trees. You
Back then, catching 25 or 30 fish wasn't that uncommon. Of course, that was in the summer. In winter, you'd catch fewer, but they were much bigger. Maybe there'd be 10 in a winter day. Most of these fish were kept. This was before catch and release, and that really didn't begin until the mid 70s. It was this fish that brought the tears to his eyes that day I sat on his lap almost 40 years ago. I don't remember him ever sharing the story without that sadness. He never forgave himself for taking her, and he felt ashamed for all the fish that were killed over the years. So by the time I was a kid, those were mostly memories and stories. The time of abundant steelhead on the Stilly had already passed, and Grandpa wasn't able to go out and wade the big rivers anymore. Now it's normal to go out and not even get a bite. Now, if you get two or three fish in a season, that's a really good season. He saw the change, and it affected him deeply, which in turn affected me deeply. Grandpa passed over 20 years ago, but I still feel his wisdom. Maybe my stories and memories of Dr. Bill are like a good fishing story. The fish grows over time and tail, but it doesn't really matter. The essence is the same. Dr. Bill and his stories, he said, were a kiss for the world. And he taught us to look at each other with humanness and to honor the mighty river and the fish. That really most anything can be resolved with a hug, a song, and a good laugh. And when we try to live our lives like Dr. Bill, loving everyone around us and loving nature and the fish, maybe we can create a better world, not just for the people, but for the fish too. May we all have the privilege of a Dr. Bill in our lives, a Dr. Bill who inspires you to do better, to invite people in with enthusiasm, and to love the river and the fish as much as you love the
I
people.
love my old
May we all find the courage it takes to
my
live
old
like
tomato,
Dr.
'cause
Bill.
nobody else can love me like my old tomato can. Her corned beef and her cabbage are way above the average. proud to call her my own. If I come home of an evening and I'm a little late, hey, I know she'll meet me with a flying plate. I love my old tomato, my old tomato, 'cause nobody else can love me like my old tomato can.